Bills.
Y'all good with it?
Yep.
Gene, you guys have not allowed a point in the third quarter of the ACC games you played. What would you attribute that to, being able to come out and execute so well out there?
Well, that's been a bright spot that we've been able to go in at halftime and address whatever issues occurred in the first half. That happened in the last game we played against Duke, for sure. They were doing some things that we needed to adjust to, and the kids are they're really good at, you know, verbalizing and talking back and forth with us and being able to have really good football conversations, not only on the sideline, but definitely at halftime when you need to have those back and forths. They're able to tell us what they see. We're able to tell them what we see, and so they do a really good job of adapting and adjusting to you know, things that either we've prepared for and we're just reiterating, you know, what we need to do, or adjusting to new things. So they've been really good with that.
Is that something that has been better in recent weeks? And do you think, going back to that, I don't want to make too much of the players only meeting, but has their attention been better? Have they absorbed better since then?
You know, I think they've always done a really nice job of trying to focus and absorb whatever information we're giving. So I don't know what I would attribute that to, because I don't really feel like there's been a change in that. I feel like they've always been really kind of all in and you know, wanting to get the information that help us be a better defense. But certainly they haven't lost that focus, but I don't know that I see a change anywhere.
I guess what I'm getting at is looser minds, because they've said that they have been that way a little bit. They've been better on the field and dealing with adversity because they've been a little bit more connected and less stressed mentally, I guess. So do you see that as a result of? Yeah,
now when you frame it like that, I do. I feel like this is a really close-knit group. And one thing, and I've said this before, obviously we haven't played, you know, there's times when we haven't played like we want to play. But through those times when it's not good, and through the times when it's been poor, I think that's one of their biggest, I think it's one of their biggest positives that they bring to the table, is that they don't panic, they stay together, they play together. And maybe it is because they're just, you know, kind of relaxed and you know, a little bit, not thinking too much and things of that nature, but just playing. I think that's definitely helped. But they are not panickers now. They don't panic when things aren't going well. And to be honest with you, they know that our offense is really good and we can score at any time. So that always gives you a little bit of a cushion, to be honest with you. As a defensive guy, we know that our offense has been really productive. And, you know, all we have to do is do our job and not panic and you know, not stress. Just go out there and execute because it's a team game. And, but I definitely see that with our guys as being a positive, that they don't panic and we can adjust when we need to adjust. When we're not playing well, there's no finger pointing, everybody just moves forward in a positive direction. And I think that's a huge reason why in a lot of these games that are close and they've come down to the end, even though there's times when we haven't played great, we have found a way, obviously, to win most of these games. And so I think that's a definite positive attribute to our guys.
Gene, Matt called Abanikanda one of the best running back in the country. He obviously puts pressure on the defense in a ton of different ways. If there was one area that, you know, you have to be exceptional against him in order to win the game, what do you think that is?
It'll be our approach angles with him, on how we approach him. You know, a lot of his runs are second level runs where he breaks it to the second level, sometimes past the linebackers, right, where the safeties have to save it or a corner has to save the ball. And you can go back to the Virginia Tech game, you know, they had a tough time bottling him up. So it's really when he gets to the second level of the defense, second and third levels of the defense, the approach angles from different guys, making sure that all, you know, we need all 11 guys available, right? So that means if I'm on the backside of the play, that I'm getting off blocks. You know, if I'm on the backside of the play and I'm not getting blocked, I'm approaching him at the right angle. He's got tremendous vision. He's got great speed. His ability to make cuts in the open field in the second level is what really separates him from pretty much everybody that I've seen. and his speed. When he hits another gear, he's gone. So it's about approaching him correctly. You know, if we miss a tackle, miss it correctly, and send him to our help is really the main message that that we've had, and we worked a lot about. In the off week, that's one of the things that we majored in is approaching the ball correctly, approaching tackling the approach angles of the ball, which we've been hot and cold on. So, but the way you approach him, particularly in the second and third levels, is huge.
Gene, along those lines with Abanikanda, is it valuable at all, I don't know that it is, to go back and study the way UNC played in the last couple of years, since, there is some history there, playing, these teams obviously playing each other each year. Is there value there at all? Does that not matter since it's completely different defense and all that stuff? Like, how do you approach that?
No, it's everything matters when you go back and watch, people that have done a good job defending him. Going back and watching, we've done that. We've gone back and looked at different teams, including our own from last year, just to see what happened and what they did well, what everybody did well against them. So yeah, it's definitely. Look, he's already got 1,000 yards rushing, so there's not like a lot of people just shut him down this year, right? So you're looking for games where guys can say, I came out of that game and I feel pretty good about how we played him. So, yeah, all of that is valuable.
Y'all lost Ray Bahasic, big loss to your defensive line. Who are you looking at to step up there? Who's been getting more time there, and that you're kind of counting on to fill that role? Obviously, been without him for 2 weeks. So.
We have. That was a huge blow to our defense. I think not only just as a player, but what he brings, just in terms of mentality and the leadership. He's a quiet leader that everybody looks up to because of how he plays. It's been a big challenge. I think KJ Hester has stepped up the last couple of weeks. He's going to have to continue to improve and be better. That's a huge void, in our defense of production. And whether it was he was getting sacks or blocking, batting balls down or whatever, that doesn't account for how many times he had to be double teamed and they had to put 2 guys on him. So that's a huge void in there. So KJ Hester's stepped it up. I think the Miami game he really played well. I was really proud of KJ. And then the young guys got to come on, right? The Travis Shaws of the world, they got to get us reps, which they have. You've seen Keyshawn Silver in there some. So the young guys got to come on. They're big frame guys, they're big body guys, but they got to play. They got to play active, and they got to play like Ray did, right? They got to get penetration on the other side of the line of scrimmage, and that's what Ray did. So it's really going to be by committee. I don't know that there was one guy that you can say just comes in and all of a sudden everything's great because Ray was a very productive guy. But KJ, I'm really proud of KJ. I think he's done a really, really nice job of filling in that spot. And then after him, it's really been by committee. And we've got enough big frames to go down there and get it done. But everybody's going to have to play better.
Have you seen an improvement from Travis, a significant improvement from August 1st to now?
I do.
What would you like to see?
I think he's moving in the right direction for sure. I think he's starting to practice hard and understand that his role now has been elevated to a point where he has to play. And we need him to play. So he needs to take that and run with it. It's a good thing for him. That's what you want as a freshman coming in, right? You want an opportunity, and he's certainly got one now. He's definitely made strides. Like everybody on our defense, he's got a lot of, he's got a lot of room for growth. But he's going to be one of the guys that we're going to have to call on to keep elevating his game as we get ourselves towards the end of the season.
Gene, it obviously seems like Cedric Gray's having a special season on the field, leading the ACC tackles. But for what he gives you guys, just also with the leadership aspect, it seems like his voice might be one of the most important on the team, if not the most important. He's great with us, explaining stuff. Like, is there anyone he reminds you of from your past, and just how do you see him? It seems like he keeps taking things to a next level and a next level and a next level. Just your thoughts on him, and does he bring anyone to mind? Just what do you think?
As far as his production, as far as his football IQ, I'll use a couple of North Carolina guys. When I was here the last time, they were younger, but he has a combination of both of these guys, and Cole Holcomb and Andre Smith. Both of them were really good players for us before they were young at the time, but he's got a lot of the skills that Andre had. Andre could play side to side. He was very physical. Cole was too, and Cole was extremely cerebral. He was a really, really big football IQ guy. Studies the game. He understands the game. It's kind of innate in him. Now, it's partly because some guys just get it and some don't, and he's got that. And then part of it is because he does his homework off the field when he's not in his building. And, you know, it's really cool as a coach when the game is happening and you can have conversations with guys during the game where they can really give you intelligent answers on what happened. Did the guard pull? Did this guy come here? No, it hit over here. It did not hit over here. You know, he just has a lot of great football knowledge. And again, some of it's innate, and some of it's because he studies the game so much. But he's such a pleasure to be around. I asked him the other day, I said, would you like to lead the country in tackles or play 20 plays less a game because we're playing better on defense? He said, I'm not really sure. So it was a funny moment. But he's played a lot of plays, and we don't really have a choice, right? So he'll continue to get a lot of plays. Hopefully we can get him off the field and, you know, and get off the field ourselves and give him a little bit more of a blow. But he loves it. He didn't want it any other way. It was that way last year with him as well, because he just loves the game. But he's one of those guys that you love to coach, you love everything about him. He comes to work every single day, mentally and physically, and there's nothing more we could ask of him.
We can talk about him giving you the feedback in real time about a guard pulling or whatever. I guess sometimes you get a guy on the phone or whatever, and he's just like, it's crazy out there, coach. Like, just sort of screaming at you, I guess, maybe. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, there's some guys that see nothing but chaos, and there's some guys where the game is slowed down enough where they can literally tell you, you know, intelligently what's happening out there. And that usually comes with age and time and experience, right? When the game slows down for anybody, they're able to give you feedback in real time, and he's able to do that. But, you know, again, and he's not the only one. There's several guys that can do that. But I think that's definitely one of his greatest attributes, other than the leadership and all those things that you mentioned. He's like another coach out there, and we can all have really, really good feedback.
He said that one of the things you guys talked to him about working on was how he communicates with teammates on the field during the game, that sometimes he's kind of overly stressed with them, and it would stress some teammates. He believes he's gotten better. Have you seen him improve in that respect?
Yeah, I think he's gotten better. I think, you know, Sed's such a competitor. He wants to win, and he can get excited. He can get excited, and you know, he has an edge to him at times, which is part of the reason. It's part of what makes him what he is, right? Like, I haven't seen a lot of great football players that don't have that edge. But I think what he's really tried to do is kind of bottle that up and communicate with guys on the sidelines and communicate during games with a little less emotion involved in it, especially when things, you know, might not be happening, you know, exactly the way we want them to. And he did need to do that because he does have that edge to him, and I think he's gotten a lot better at it. But regardless how he communicates with everybody, everybody knows where he's coming from, right? It's a place of I want to win, and this is, you know, this is not acceptable. But he's definitely gotten better at that.
With the linebackers, I know Ra-Ra's been beat up a little bit this year with injuries, but have you seen the growth from him that you would like to see with guys like Travis Shaw, where you would feel confident playing him more snaps toward the end of the season?
I'd like to see more growth. I could probably say that about everybody, right? But I'd like to see more growth. I'd like to see more, you know, working on his craft at practice and being focused and locked in on what he has to do. And when he gets opportunities in games, you know, that, you know, he delivers at a high rate. And he's done some really good things in some games. He started to play more, and then he got injured, and, you know, we'll bring him back and trying to work him back in. But Ra-Ra's got a really, he's a really talented young man, but he needs to bring his game to the next level.
Corey's Conley, I mean, I think he's somewhat cleared. I don't know the exact stats, but if comes back, how do you expect to use him? What can you tell us about how you've seen him progress in practice?
Right. He started working on some defensive schemes. Same thing with special teams, and I think it's kind of a weaning in process to see exactly what he can and can't do. I think every day he's feeling more confident with being able to make cuts, being able to change directions. I mean, when you have a knee situation, obviously that's the main event, right? Do I feel confident enough to be able to plant, change directions, and drive off that knee, off that leg? So I think he's day by day growing in terms of gaining that confidence. And so it's going to be a week-to-week progression to see exactly where he would land defensively. You know, and again, he's, didn't go through spring practice and, has really not been with us the lion's share of the fall. So it's how fast can he absorb the information as far as game plans and what we're doing in combination with, do I feel comfortable enough and do I feel confident enough on my leg to plant and cut and be the old JQ that he was, which we know he's very talented. We know he's aggressive. We know he can tackle. We know all of those things. So really it's going to be, as the weeks go on, the combination of those two things happening, the confidence and the absorbing of the scheme. How fast does that come along? And then we'll make those, it's going to be a weekly decision, moving forward. But he has started to wean himself back in. And right up to this point, I feel like he feels confident.
Gene, sort of along those lines, like, with the bye week and sort of hitting the reset button, so to speak, like, is there anyone or a couple guys that haven't been playing as much that, you got 5 games in the regular season left, would you like to start getting in there more here in the second half of the season? Who do you see coming on maybe that we haven't seen in the game or much of in the game? Like, who do you think is coming?
Well, I think it's really pretty much the same characters that you've seen that have played sparingly, and we need to get them to a point where we can play them more. You've asked about them, Ra being one. I think guys like Keyshawn Silver and Travis Shaw that you've seen some of, they've got to keep coming on. Guys like Day Holland that him coming off an injury as well, right? And having to go in and take some snaps in some games. Guys like that coming on and trying to help us and give us some depth to the defense. But for the most part, it's probably the same guys that you've seen, maybe sparingly, but we need to get them to the point where they can play.
Coach, when you talk about player-led, you mentioned Seth Gray's leadership on the field. Are you where you want to be from that aspect of accountability, holding guys accountable for what they do? You mentioned earlier missing the tackle, but missed it on the right side. Where are you as a staff and as a unit there with the accountability factor in game still at this point in the season? Yeah,
that's a really good question. No, I don't think we're there yet. I think we're trying to work in that direction. We had a great team defensive meeting yesterday about that very thing, right? Doing your job. And so I think it matters to them. I think that they're trying to improve on the accountability piece. Have we arrived there yet? No, I don't think we have. But I think it's definitely gotten better, and we're improving. And I think everybody understands, that as the season goes on, if we're going to continue to improve defensively, the accountability for every guy has to go up, and they have to be able to hold each other to that standard. So it's gotten better. Is it where we need it to be? No. But they'll continue to work on it, and they understand the importance of it.
That's good.
Yes.
Awesome, guys.
All right.
Ladies.
Thanks.